This man has been on multiple times on the phone, but it's great to see in person the host of The Right Time with Bomani Jones, presented by Wave Sports and Entertainment. It's available wherever you get your podcast. Bomani Jones, good to see you in person. How are you?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you having me. I escaped
Anytime.
the East Coast before it got a little ridiculous,
Dicey?
Look here, man. I was eating breakfast today looking at palm trees. Apparently, they're not doing that in New York right now.
No,
That's not the program.
That is definitely not the program, for sure. So let's just jump right into it. The Dallas Cowboys or the Philadelphia Eagles, which one would you consider to be the more disappointing NFC East team? Bomani Jones. What about
can
that
the Cowboys really still disappoint you? Like, I feel like the Cowboys are at that point where if they continue to disappoint you, it's kind of sort of your fault, right?
Yeah.
The Eagles is just so much more inexplicable. Like, the Cowboys had a bad game. If nothing else, if you want to just put it out there and say, hey, they played their worst game of the season at the worst time possible,
yes,
you could make the argument that's an excuse, but you could pass that off as plausible. We watched the Eagles die a slow death for 17 weeks or 18 weeks. It started early. They were just getting by everybody, and we got into our sports cliche. Well, they're just finding ways to win. Like they was champions or something, which they're not. We gave them champion benefit because they came close to winning one. And then you looked at how bad they looked in that game, and it was over from the very beginning where, I don't know what they're supposed to do.
Right. And so you will choose the Eagles instead of the Cowboys on that fact.
I will.
I don't think, by the way, they're going to make either one of those teams is going to make a coaching change. I think that might be our way of looking at it. Well, this is an unacceptable type of way to go out. And I just don't see both of those teams bouncing their coaches. I just don't see it.
I think it's more likely that Jerry keeps McCarthy because Jerry doesn't like to fire coaches.
Isn't that he has the reputation of just being a total, shoot from the hip type guy, and he is not.
No,
he's the opposite of it.
I talked to somebody who worked with him in a pretty significant capacity and then worked in another NFL franchise, and the point he made was Jerry's more loyal than anybody else that he has worked with in this sports realm. Like, there's a move to make on McCarthy. You could make the argument, but the only time he's moved on a coach after, I want to say 3 years, was Dave Campo, but they went 5-11 3 years in a row.
That's right.
This isn't that. The Eagles, though, the question they have to ask themselves is, whatever happened this year, look, I don't know these people. I don't know that team, but something looks very clearly to be broken. If something is broken, what role does the coach play in it breaking, and is the coach capable of repairing it? And it seems difficult to wrap my mind around the idea that the answer to both of those are positive for Sirianni. But I also think that both of those dudes are working in a negative place where we're holding against them how we felt about them in the beginning. Like for Sirianni here, shaking off that press conference. Good job. You made us forget about it until something bad happened. And now you're the dude that was out there looking ridiculous at your introductory press conference. And McCarthy, every bit of skepticism that we had about him coming in, it never went away, right? We all asked the question as to why in the world he had that job in the first place. And then 3 12-win seasons later, people are still asking the same question.
Well, that's because the last games of each one of his seasons have been spectacular failures.
Yes.
From not getting the ball placed to whatever the heck that last snap to Ezekiel Elliott was in his Dallas career to this year.
Well, and the other part, too.
And that is?
The world's a little bit skeptical of our Portly brothers. This is not a small. This is not a small part of the discussion, man. People don't treat them right, and the assumption it's not. I'm not lying about this. I'm not saying I do it because I don't have the room to participate in this conversation.
You're not a waitist.
No. I'm like, for me, this is like when John Oliver talks about the Irish, or he's like, I sound like this. I can't get into this. I'm not gonna say anything about the man, but I know the rest of y'all, man. I know where it comes from, and the double extra large is not helping his case in terms of the skepticism that people feel about him.
Is that because people feel in this way? Let's get into it here. That if you don't have the discipline to stay in shape, you don't have a discipline to coach a team.
That's exactly it.
Really?
That's it.
Where are we with Andy Reid? With all due respect.
I mean, honestly, where are we with like 45% of the American population, if we're being honest about this? Like, we are a pudgy people, and I'm saying we to throw myself into this. I've gained a little weight in the last couple months, right? I'm getting a little closer to joining you guys.
You look great.
Thank you. But this is just,
You're welcome.
It's not my fault that other people are bad. We just have to acknowledge the fact that we struggle a little bit with how we deal with our chubbier friends. You know what I'm saying? They are friends.
Of course. So a little bit. So you're saying that McCarthy could keep his job if he just hit that Ozempic a little bit.
I'm saying that
he should get the Ozempic, the Wegovy treatment here.
I'm saying that people would be a little less harsh toward him.
Unbelievable.
If that look, I'm just think about your life, man. Just think about how it goes. This is who we are.
I thought he's been looking good this year. Actually.
Better?
Yeah, I do.
Better?
Well, I mean,
he's got the beard to try to hide it.
Oh my
That's
God!
what big
Yeah,
guys,
see that never helps.
Big guys get beards.
Guys.
Look at Santa.
All right. You want to chime in here, Felly? Is that what you want to say?
I just took that as a personal shot, but it's all right.
I'm telling people to be nicer to folks in that realm. I'm not saying you one of them. I'm just telling you, man. Like, people need to be better. That's just how they.
Sorry, Jay.
They not doing right by. I don't know how this got to be about me, by the way.
Because you keep throwing yourself in the mix here. You know, you're the one who's throwing yourself in the mix here.
You keep sticking me with these awkward silences. Like after I say it, you're like, oh. Then I'm just like,
no, it's all good. Bomani Jones is here in the Rich Eisen Show. You just came in like the proverbial house of fire, which is great. What did you say to me when you first saw me? You're like. Something about the one every 30 years.
Yes, once every 30 years. I did not say first.
Go ahead, tell him what you said to me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I said something about you still riding the high from that once every 30 year championship thing. Though to be fair, it's more accurately first full championship since the Korean War.
That's true.
Like if I wanted to drop the bombs, so to speak, right? If I wanted to be like, wow, Doug MacArthur would have loved to see this day. That would have been a better way to put it.
And then I told you that everything after the slight about how long it's taken. Is what I would prefer to just, rest on the present, the moment.
Hold on, though, but it wasn't a slight. It was an appreciation for the magnitude of the situation. Like, I used to root for Texas, and when they won that championship in 2005, it was literally the first championship they'd ever won with black people. Literally. That's not an exaggeration. The last time they'd won a championship was the last segregated national champion. And so it was not to take a dig, but to lean into the significance of the moment.
But you're also, I would definitely say aware enough to realize that I didn't require the perspective to be mixed in with the congratulatory statement. You know what I mean? Like, there's the congratulatory statement on its own. It doesn't require the perspective. I know that's, you provide perspective. It's professionally. Fair. That's why there's the right time. So it wasn't the right time to say that.
I feel you.
Bomani Jones.
You're right about that. I could have said that, wow, since the Korean War, Ohio State's got 5 of these and you guys have 1.5. I could have done that, but I thought I was being good about it.
I don't need the facts either.
I'm just saying.
Other than congratulations, you must feel great that Michigan won it all.
Yes. I'm just saying, you guys get you a couple more, you'll pass Woody Hayes since the Korean War. Woody Hayes quit that job in 1978.
Oh my God! What do you got against Michigan?
I have nothing against Michigan, actually. I went to a game in Ann Arbor last year. I went to the game against Michigan State. Okay. I found it to be a very delightful experience. Although I will say,
yes,
the pregame. No. And I think you know what I'm about to talk about.
No,
and I do feel like everything I'm saying. I do have to feel like, oh, but wait a minute.
No, it's okay.
But they started the game and they got everybody's got their video hype thing, and Michigan has the advantage of an alumni base that has the voice of all voices, which is James Earl Jones. And so James Earl Jones does the voice, and I believe he says in all of his Darth Vader CNN glory, "We are the greatest university in the world." And I'm in this crowd of 110,000 people. I'm guessing 90,000 of which didn't go to no damn University of Michigan. And I'm like, why are you talking about the university right now? We about to watch some football. Mm-hmm. Like, if you want to say it was the greatest state of all time, everybody likes to feel that way. I'm from Texas, so I know better. But we are the greatest university in the world. Hey, man, we just trying to watch a game, dog.
I understand. He could be. We should have him say, "We are your father." Just go straight
especially
into
when you play
it.
at Michigan State, because that's the game I went to. I think it's the one where them boys exacted their revenge in the tunnel.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was ugly. It's a nasty rivalry. And my favorite thing is when we do beat Michigan State is I have this photograph of Jamel Hill smoking a cigar that she posted after Michigan lost to Michigan State the last time, or one of those times. She's smoking this cigar, and I saved it. And I just, because it's going to turn at some point. And after every Michigan win over Michigan State, I just popped that thing
It wasn't
out.
that time that it looked like Michigan was going to win that game, and then the kick went the other way. And
then she's just smoking a cigar out of it or something like that. And I was like, okay.
But on the bright side, y'all broke that dude's pelvis that scored the touchdown. Isn't that what happened?
I've forgotten about that.
I always wonder how that dude felt in the end. Was it worth it? Because I don't think so.
Bomani Jones here on the Rich Eisen Show. The Right Time with Bomani Jones, presented by Wave Sports and Entertainment, is available wherever you can get your podcasts right now. All right, so what is the story in the NBA now that we are past the de facto midway point of the season? What do you got for me on that front?
I feel like we are in a very interesting transitionary period in the NBA.
And that is?
I mean, you're looking at Minnesota and Oklahoma City being the best teams in the West. Like, the next generation of player seems to be pushing forward. So in the NFL, we just made the transition out of like the Brady, Manning, Breeze, Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers toward the end. We have moved out of that place, and now we're talking about the next generation of dudes. Now is the time for that next generation of NBA players to step up, the next generation of really good teams. Oklahoma City, it was going to take a little while, and it only took a little while, to be fair. But now Presti's got that thing humming. They got the players. My brother in skinniness, Chet, is out here making it happen. I saw some clip of him after a game where he took his shirt off, and he wears a pad right here in the middle of his chest. And I was like, that's a hero right there. I relate to what's going on with him. So to me, that is the most interesting thing. I mean, I think it's all going to come back to the champs are the champs. The best player in the world is the best player in the world. And I think they're going to spank everybody on the way out. But I'm glad to see the next generation of the NBA like really beginning in force.
So Jokic and the Nuggets are just letting the youngins have their day right now.
I just don't know what anybody's supposed to do with him.
He is unbelievable. I mean, that shot he made to beat the Warriors from, 40-something feet, where he shot like Jamal Wilkes back in the day, like both hands over his head. I don't know. When it all comes down to it, he is the best player on the planet. But, I mean, who would you consider is in the Eastern Conference the next young stars? Is it Halliburton before he got hurt? Or who are you throwing in there?
I am big. The Halliburton is in one of these tricky situations right now where I feel like like a lot of people who talk about him, have seen more numbers than they actually have seen him play because, I work really hard to be sitting in my house watching the Indiana Pacers on my off time. You know what I mean? Like, that's not really me. But I have watched him, and the numbers he's putting up are unreal, and he's really, really, really good. To the point where Sacramento traded him and got back Sabonis, and Sabonis was really good, and you got to wonder, man, did they get got in that trade? The argument that they did not get got was it unlocked De'Aaron Fox. Well, maybe De'Aaron Fox needed to get unlocked by somebody else if you had to give up Halliburton in the process of it. So I think that maybe he leans toward being that guy. I think that's the direction I go in.
And then anyway, who else? Brunson in the East? I don't know. He's been around a while, but
yeah, I like Brunson a lot. I mean, hey, there's still that Jason Tatum guy up there that he's in that place where he started doing it so young and has been doing it for so long that you can forget that he's 25 or something like that.
Right. That's why I wouldn't, but that's why I don't throw him. He's been around long enough. I don't put him in the Chet Holmgren, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I don't throw him in with Anthony Edwards. Those are guys who are still, making their bones, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Except, again,
I don't throw Giannis in there either. Obviously, he's won a championship.
But it's just because Tatum started so young. It's really just because he got in. I mean, he came in the door swinging. I don't love the way that he goes about handling his business. Now, it's Scotty Barnes, by the way, is another guy that you could put in that discussion.
I heard he's the face of the NBA, right? I heard that. That's, by the way, that Darko Ran is one of our favorites of all time.
Oh, man, I just love the fact that he was so hot. Like, I'm trying to learn Spanish right now, right? Mm-hmm. And I yearn to get to the point where I can speak angrily. And just go, right? I ain't got to think about these. Yeah, I ain't got to think about these words. They just come out. He ain't messed none of it up neither. He just roll with it.
Well, we have this screen grab that we keep throwing up every now and then we have him as a drop as well. But Del Tufo messed it up. Did he bail it somewhere? Did he bury it somewhere? Okay.
Sorry about that.
Well, anyway, yeah, he went off, and we were surprised that he only got fined $25,000 until we found out that was the max that you could. Oh
no, they went for it. They had to. But look, Scotty Barnes is the face of the NBA in Canada. You got to remember, man, that man lived in another country. As far as he's concerned, he's like whenever they talk about basketball here, they talk about Scotty Barnes.
Right. Well, the face of the NBA in Canada used to be Kawhi. And I guess are we overlooking what's happening with the Clippers right now? Because we live in a Lakers world. We currently are residing right now in a Lakers town. But what they're doing with Harden, I mean, is the real deal, it appears.
What I think happened with them was it started so bad, and they looked awful. And once it started bad and it looked awful, I think that people decided they were going to be awful, and then they went back to paying attention to football. And then they're going to have this moment where they come back and they're like, yo, have you heard that the Clippers have actually been over here killing it? Because it's a bit shocking to me. They confirmed all the skepticism anybody would have about adding James Harden in the first place. And I do think that they're being overlooked. But I also think nothing they do with James Harden matters until we start talking about the postseason, because we've seen it from him so many times where it's not small sample stuff anymore. You get to the end and you got to look at that dude and be like, okay, what are we going to get from you? And if you can't get anything from him, he will effectively neutralize Kawhi Leonard, who is literally one of the greatest postseason performers who's ever lived. You're hoping that that sort of thing, and the Paul George that we saw when Kawhi got hurt in the postseason, and he stepped up. You're hoping that all of that can matter more than James Harden, and that you don't have to give Harden the ball so much that he can sink your whole ship. But the problem with Harden has been less that he did not show up in the postseason. Not showing up is not such a big deal. Other people can cover for you when you don't show up to work. But when you show up to work and just start throwing stuff around and breaking things, now we got a whole different problem. Can he show up and not mess things up? That's what we're going to get the answer for.
Because he usually does break the franchise when it all comes down to it, because he wants to leave, right? Like that's been the MO for it. So you were saying he's great in the regular season. You're wondering if he's show up in the postseason. He's the Cowboys with a beard? Is that what you're saying?
Fair.
Pretty much. I'm just trying to figure out he's the Cowboys with a beard, because I just want to make sure, because the guy over your right shoulder, TJ Jefferson, is that rare subset of Cowboys Clipper fans.
Really?
TJ? You want to chime in right here, or what?
I mean, what's there to say? Everything he said is true until it gets done in the postseason. It is what it is.
Because I'm looking at you, and you seem to be about my age, so I can understand.
Oh, he won't tell you how old he is.
Yeah, I know. I'm just guessing here, right?
How old are you, Bomani?
I am 43.
Oh, he's older than that.
Okay.
We're in the same,
Well, in which case, see, that makes it even crazier, because I understand the Cowboys thing. Voluntarily picking up the Clippers, given the generation that you're in. Who just decides, losers? That's what I'm about.
I moved here in 99. I'm a Sixer fan by birth. Moved here. I didn't want to root for the Lakers, so I decided, all right, let me root for the Clippers, and when they turn it around, it'll be cool. Still waiting for that U-turn.
Yeah, the Clipper fans mostly here in this town are they're kind of like a melting pot, but a large part of the melting pot are East Coast transplants for whom rooting for the Lakers would have to happen over their dead bodies. But they love the NBA and want to see it live, and have chosen the Clippers as their team.
All right, so there's contrarians like my guy Lance, who works with me. He's a Clippers fan, and he's from here. He's from Carson. He's a Clippers guy. That's a big contrarian. You do have
him and Daryl. Those are the other Clippers.
That's the other thing I was about to say. And then you got guys like Daryl, who, as I recall, the story was Daryl lost his job and was feeling bad about himself, and he turned on the TV and he saw this bunch of losers and was like, you know what? We're going to be losers together. Not that Daryl is still a loser. But nothing feels more like I'm a loser than losing your job. I've lost my job many times. It makes you feel like a loser. So he was just sitting there like, I'm a loser. They're losers. Did you have a job when you decided you were going to root for the Clippers?
Yeah, I did, as a matter of fact.
Was it a good one?
Think about it.
Yeah. But was it what?
Was it a good one?
Yeah, I was working in a talent agency. So
I mean, they got all kinds of jobs in the talent agency. You know,
I was an assistant. You know,
okay,
that's how everybody starts in the talent agency.
I think you finally drilled down to make your point.
Saying, like when people say I had a job in a place but don't tell you what it was, it's like I knew this dude once who told us, he's like, oh, I work for BMW. Partner, you fix cars, and there's nothing wrong with fixing cars. But stop talking to me like you out here designing them. You're not. You would have told me you design cars.
Well, plus TJ,
I was submitting commercial actors for commercials.
Hold on, my man. I didn't mean to make you explain it to me.
Now that we want to dig,
this is a defensive operation, by the way. I just had a little joke with him about Michigan, and now he's all on the taking all these digs
we're
about
very
me.
sensitive.
Yeah, he's like, well, actually, so that you know, that commercial right there, the one with yes, I am. I did that. You know, he's letting us know all of them.
I was trying to downplay it, but
I guess we shouldn't go with the third rail for you, sports-wise, TJ Jefferson, which is the number of teams that you do root for.
I mean, sure, you can.
There we go. That right up. Look at the screen, Bomani. These are all teams he roots for.
Outrageous.
Wow. Whoa. No. This you have to explain, because there is something so contradictory on here that can't be defended, and I bet you know exactly what it is.
I know it's in the bottom left there, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. How?
Okay, how? So
Georgetown.
My grandma loved Patrick Ewing, so because of that, I start liking Georgetown. I was reading that. Remember Athlon Street and Smith magazine back in the day? I saw a kid named Grant Hill whose dad, Calvin Hill, played for the Dallas Cowboys. And I was like, oh, okay. I knew his dad because I'm a Cowboys fan.
And that's the
it was
Duke?
before my time.
Okay.
Grant Hill was supposed to go to Georgetown. So for his whole junior and senior season, I'm following this kid through magazines. I'm like, I'm a fan of this guy. So then he ended up going to Duke. So I was just like, all right, I'm going to root for Grant Hill. And that turned into...
I once wrote that if Duke played the Ku Klux Klan, I'd root for a 0-0 tie. And
How'd that hit your editor's desk?
like, whoa, what a lead. That's how it landed. It was the first line of the piece. And
Now, I've said that somebody from the Niners tweeted me the other day. It was like, hey, you should come join our team. I'm like, I would join the Klan before I would join.
Michael Wilbon says that if Notre Dame played the Ku Klux Klan, he'd root for the boys in white. There's a lot about that, but you can't be a Duke fan and a Georgetown fan of that era because the whole reason to root for Georgetown is the antithesis of Duke. The whole reason they root for Duke is because they hate Georgetown.
I liked Grant Hill. I don't know what to say.
And by the way, Grant Hill was supposed to go to Georgetown but went to Duke. That's the whole reason to be down on the whole operation. In fact, that makes me look at Grant Hill a little bit funny. I'm kidding, Grant. I promise. I promise. The big boys are sensitive about that.
I love how you didn't say which one of the pennants made you most offended, and he knew exactly where it was.
It's an internal
You
conflict.
knew exactly, TJ, you knew exactly where he was going.
Because what is this? January 14th. It's not the first time this conversation.
Well, that's
has come
true.
up.
Okay.
I'll never forget this. One time, a friend of my parents came over, and it was Duke and Florida were playing in the '94 Final Four. And he went to North Carolina Central in Durham, and he came in, and he's sitting there, and he goes, well, you know, I went to college in Durham. Think I'm rooting for Duke today. And it was like the needle went off the record, and everybody just froze and looked around. And my mother, the sweetest woman I have ever met in my life, looked at him and explained he would be watching the game somewhere else if he was going to think he was going to come in here and root for Duke.
Really?
Wasn't happening.
So, did he get ejected?
No, he chilled out. He just kept quiet. If you get a chance, go on YouTube. My show Game Theory from HBO.
Yes.
Our Duke episode is still up there, and you will understand it's a very serious thing for a lot of us that stopped us from rooting for Duke. But some of us was raised different, you know?
Ask me what happens when Duke plays Georgetown, though, or Duke played Michigan.
I think he's done. I think he's done asking you questions.
I'm just curious. Like, that looks like Jackie Robinson on the wall. What do you think he think about this?
Well,
How you think Fossey Brown would root for
right
Duke?
here, that's Dr. J right there.
You can't.
You
No,
think Dr. J would root for Duke?
Probably not.
You think Duke would recruit Dr. J?
I don't know, but you're asking like I ain't got no Duke tattoos. It's not like I it is what
I
it
mean,
is,
if you
man.
had
Like,
to rank them, that's probably the lowest down the list.
yeah, I mean Georgetown's my all-time favorite, like without question.
The Right Time with Bomani Jones, presented by Wave Sports and
Being
Entertainment,
very judgmental,
available
Bo, is all I'm saying.
wherever you
Being very judgmental.
wherever you get your podcasts. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, man.
I don't know how often you're in LA, but stop by anytime.
Oh, I'd love to. And go blue, man.
That
blue.
sounded really.
No, I'm serious.
Completely.
I'm so like I remember what it was like when Texas won that championship, right? I know that feeling. It's great.
It is.
I'm like it's a good one. You get to ride it out forever. And for everybody, most of us are not Alabama. You only get one of these championships every couple of decades. That's legitimately it.
Fact.
Or, twice since a major international conflict.
Understood.
And so you enjoy it, So enjoy it, Rich. Enjoy it.
Oh, he is enjoying it.
Oh, by the way.
He is.
I am.
He's saying it with his chest.
Oh, I am. Everybody in the state of Ohio has heard from me. Literally, I might have gone one by one. I might go door to door. It'll be great.
You and Desmond are probably having more fun with this than anybody else in the world.
Oh, yes. And don't forget Charles Woodson, too, because he's the one who brings the alcohol. At Bomani_Jones, Twitter and Instagram. Again, check out The Right Time with Bomani Jones, presented by Wave Sports and Entertainment, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for coming on here.
Thanks for having me, man.
Anytime. And if you need a guest or looking for a guest, I'm happy to
This is the most fun I've ever had doing a radio hit, to be perfectly honest. Fantastic.
Well, it's a simulcast too. You're on TV as well, which is and to all the people out there who are trying to lose weight, we're with you.
Yeah. And if you can't lose weight, I still love you. I don't judge you more harshly than other people.
As long as you're not a
not
football
you.
coach.
It's not me.
You're just pointing out the way society acts.
Yep.
Okay. Bomani Jones here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.